The convergence protocol, the void off space, trembled as 1,200 warships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. The Corvani Empire's grand fleet stretched across the darkness like a metallic cable constellation, each vessel bristling with weapons capable of reducing planets to cosmic dust. At the fleet's heart, the massive Rednaf Eternal Dominion cast its shadow over dozens of smaller craft. Fleet Commander Vexer stood on the bridge of his flagship, his forearms crossed behind his back as he surveyed the tactical display. The Meridian system lay before them, rich with rare minerals and strategically positioned along three major trade routes. Intelligence reports been clear: minimal defenses, a few mining stations, and perhaps a patrol vessel or two. The conquest would be swift and decisive. Commander, his tactical officer, Sub-Commander Crix, approached with measured steps. All battle groups report ready. Weapon systems are charged and targeting solutions are locked on the primary installations. Vexer's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. Excellent. Begin the hep-housed, as the sensor array chirped Analord. What is that? The massive view screen shimmered, displaying a new contact that had materialized seeming life from nowhere. A single ship hung in space between the Corvani fleet and their target system. It was sleek and angular, maybe 3 kilometers in length, with a hull that seemed to absorb the light from nearby stars rather than reflect it. Unknown vessel, Crix read from his console. Configuration doesn't match any noun design in our databases. Psst, human. A ripple of uncertainty passed through the bridge crew. The humans were a relatively new species to galactic politics, known more for their stubborn nature and primitive technology than any real military threat. What was one of their ships doing here, lone facing the might of the Corvani Empire? Scan it, Vexer ordered. Full spectrum analysis. The results came back moments later, causing confusion among the bridge officers. The ship registered as approximately the size of a heavy cruiser, but the energy readings were inconsistent. Sometimes the sensors detected massive pore signatures, other times barely anything at all. Shall we destroy it and proceed with the mission? Crix asked. Considered this. The Empire prided itself on efficiency, but unnecessary destructive, potentially valuable intelligence was wasteful. Open a channel. Let's see what these humans think they're doing. That communication array crackled to life, and the view screen split to show the bridge of the human vessel. A woman in a crisp navy uniform appeared, her dark hair pulled back in a regulation bun. Her eyes were steady and calm, despite facing overwhelming odds. "I am Captain Alina Vasquez of the United Earthship Valiant," she said without preamble. "You have entered protected space. I'm ordering you to withdraw immediately." Laughter erupted across the Corvi bridge. Vexstar himself couldn't suppress a series of clicking sounds that served as his species equivalent as chuckling. "Captain Vasquez," he said, allowing amusement to color his voice. "I am Fleet Commander Vexter of the Corvani Empire. You are facing 1,204 finest warships with a single vessel. Surely you can see the futility of your position." Captain Vasquez's expression didn't change. "Commander, you're making a mistake. The Meridian system is under Earth protection." "Your only warning. One ship, Vexer, repeated slowly against 1,200. I will give you one opportunity to surrender. Your crew will be treated according to tough standards of civilized warfare." "I appreciate the offer," Vasquez replied, "but I'm afraid I'll have to decline. The Valiant wasn't built to surrender." Before Vexer could respond, the human captain cut the transmission. The view screen reverted to showing the lone ship floating motionless. "In space, Erigen primitives," Crix muttered. "Shall I first order the fleet to open fire?" Vexer studied the human ship for a long moment. Something about this situation felt wrong. No competent militarizer would face such odds without Applin. Either the human captain was completely insane, or there was something they didn't understand. About that ship, battle stations. He finally ordered all ships, assume attack formation. Target their engines first. I want survivors for interrogation. The Grand Fleet moved with practice aggression. 1,200 ships arranged themselves in a perfect sphere. Around the human vessel, their weapons trained inward. It was a formation that had broken the will of countless civilizations. A demonstration of overwhelming foresight that usually ended conflicts before they began. The human ship designated U.S. Valiant remained perfectly still. All ships report ready. Crix announced, awaiting your orders. Vester raised Onaf his arms. Fire. 1,200 ships and Leshat there. Fury simultaneously. Energy beams that could slice through storied belts. Plasma torpedoes, capable of cracking countenance, and kinetic projectivin. At significant fractions of light speed, all converged on the small human vessel. The space around the Valiant erupted in a display of destructive force that would have been visible from several light years away. When the energy dissipated and the sensors cleared, Vexer expected to see debris, a rot, most a heavily damaged hulk. Instead, the Valiant hung in space, completely unharmed. Impossible, Crix whispered. Our senses showed direct hits. The accumulate Ferper should have vaporized anything smaller than a moon. Vexer leaned forward in his command chair. Replay the attack sequence. Show me what happened. The tactical display rewound and began playing the battle data in slow motion. As the first weapons approached the human ship, something extraordinary occurred. The Valiant's hull began to shimmer, becoming translucent, then completely transparent. The devastating barrage passed through empty space where the ship had been. Phase shifting, science officer reported, his voice filled with disbelief. There. Manipulating their dimensional phase. But the power requirements for maintaining that, to under such massive bombardment should be impossible with their technology level. As if in response to their analysis, the Valiant solidified again, its dark hull gleaming with an almost organic quality. Then it moved. The human ship didn't accelerate in any conventional sense. One moment it was in the center of the Corvini formation. The next, it had appeared 3,000 kilometers away, outside the sphere of warships. No energy signature, no propulsion trail, no gradual acceleration. It simply existed in a new location. Quantum displacement. The science officer continued, his voice now carrying a note of fear. They're noticing conventional engines at all. They're manipulating space-time itself. The Valiant began to move again, this time in a pattern that defied physics. It flickered in and out of existence, appearing at random points around the Corvini fleet. Each time it materialized, weapons ports along it opened, revealing technology thought made no sense to the alien observers. Instead of traditional energy weapons, the human ship fired something that could only be described as concentrated impossibility. Reality seemed to bend around its projectile. Where they struck Arcani vessels, the ships didn't explode or burn. They simply stopped ejecting, leaving behind perfectly spherical voids in space where proud warships had been. Moments before, report, Vester shouted as alarm claxons began, wailing throughout his flagship. We've lost 47 ships, Crix reported, his voice shaking. They're not been destroyed, Commander. They're been deleted. Whatever those weapons are, they're removing matter from existentientary, the human ship continued. It's impossible. Danced through the Corvini formation. It moved like liquid light flowing between red and fire, with an elegance that spoke of technology so advanced, it might as well have been magic. Wherever it passed, more ships vanished into nothingness. All ships, concentrate Phyron, its last known position. Vexter ordered desperately saturate the entire area. The fleet responded, pouring everything they had into Thespace where the Valiant had last appeared. But the human ship was already gone, materializing behind a group of heavy cruisers and eliminating 6 more vessels before vanishing again. Captain Vescaz's voice suddenly filled Tebridge, transmitted on an open channel. Commander Vexer, this is your final warning. Withdraw your fleet now, or I will be forced to consider you a hostile threat to Earth's interests. Your one ship? Vexer roared back. One ship against our entire grand fleet. Yes, came. The calm reply. But I'm not just any ship, Commander. I'm the Valiant. We didn't know how to lose. The human vessel repared, directly above the Eternal Dominion. close enough that its shadow fell across the Dreadnought's bridge. For a moment, both ships hung motionless in space, predator and prey locked in a deadly stalemate. Then the hull began to change again. But this time, it wasn't phasing out of existence. Instead, millions of microscopic panels slide open, revealing weapon systems thought covered every centimeter of the ship's surface. It wasn't just a warship. It was a weapon that happened to Bishop, the impossible victory. The space around, eternal. Dominion erupted in controlled chaos as the Valiant unleashed its full arsenal. But these weren't the reality-deleting weapons I had used before. These were something far more terrifying, precise, calculated strikes that disabled rather than destroyed. Vexter watched in horror as his flagship's weapon systems were systematically stripped away. Each shot from the human vessel targeted specific components with surgical precision. Plasma. Cannons were sliced from their mountings, missile tubes were sealed shut, and shield generators were reduced to inert metal. Within minutes, the pride of the Corvani fleet had been rendered completely defenseless without a single casualty. "How is this possible?" as Crix whispered, staring at the tactical display that showed their weapon status. Every single system washing red, yet the ship's hull remained intact, and life support was unaffected. Captain Vasquez's voice filled the bridge again, but this time it carried a tone of patient explanation rather than warning. "Commander, I need you to understand something about human military philosophy. We don't just build ships to fight wars, build them to end wars." The Valiant moved away from the flagship, beginning a complex dance through the remaining fleet. As it passed each Corvani vessel, the semi-precise disabling strikes occurred. Weapons were removed with mechanical efficacy, but lives were spared. It was a demonstration of technological cyphery, so complete that it transcended mere victory and entered their realm of artistry. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving similar reports from all battle groups. Their weapons are being systematically disabled, but no ships are being destroyed." Vexer's 4 hands gripped the arms of his command chair. All his years of military service, he had never encountered anything like this. The human ship wasn't just defeating them. It was teaching them a lesson about the futility of aggression, why he transmitted to the Valiant, why show mercy to an invading force. Their response came immediately, because that's what humans do, Commander. We protect, we defend, and when possible, we educate. As if to demonstrate this philosophy, the Valiant's movement pattern changed, Doggin, instead of the chaotic, impossible maneuvers it had displayed before. It began moving in perfect geometric formations. Each pattern was clearly deliberate, designed to showcase different aspects of its capabilities first. It demonstrated pure speed, accelerating to velocities that should have torn apart any physical vessel. The ship moved in straight lines between fleet formations. Crossing distance sats should have taken minutes and mere seconds. Next came maneuverability. The Valiant began tracing complex three-dimensional patterns through the fleet. Curves and spirals that show depisable changes in direction, without any apparent deceleration. It was as if the ship existed outside it. Normal constraints of momentum and inertia. Then came the most unsettling demonstration of all. The human vessel began to duplicate itself. First one copy appeared, then 2, then dozens. Each duplicate moved independently, gauging different parts of the Corvée fleet simultaneously. The alien sensors couldn't determine which were real and which were projections, or if perhaps they were. Equally real, quantum multiplication, the science officer reported weekly. They're existing in multiple probabilities simultaneously. This technology shouldn't be possible for another 1,000 years after development. The demonstration continued for precisely 10 minutes, during which every remaining weapon in the Corvée fleet was disabled with the same surgical precision. Then, as suddenly as that had begun, the duplicates vanished, leaving only the original.
Valiant.
Peacefully in the center of Señorita Armada, Captain Vasquez opened communications in final time. Her image appeared on screens throughout the fleet, addressing not just the command staff, But every soldier in the Grand Fleet, beings off the Corvani Empire, she began, voice, carrying across 1,200 ships. Today you came here as conquerors, you'll leave. As something more valuable, witnesses. You've seen what humanity is capable of when threatened. But more importantly, you've seen what we choose not to do. She paused, allowing her words to sink in. We could have destroyed your entire fleet in the first minute of combat. Instead, we chose to disable your weapons and preserve your lives. This choice defines us as Aspaces. We are not your enemies unless you force us to be. Vexter found himself leaning forward, hanging on every word. The tactical situation had reversed so completely that he was now the one facing impossible odds. Yet the Human was offering dialogue instead, off demanding surrender.
System will
Remain under Earth. Protection, Vasquez continued. But the people of Fear Empire are welcome to visit as friends and trading partners. The choice of how you proceed from here is yours, Tomac. The transmission ended, leaving the Corvani fleet in stunned silence. Then slowly the Valiant began to withdraw. But as it moved away, something unprecedented happened. The ship began to change. Again, its hull plates shifting and reconfiguring. Within moments, what had been a sleek warship transformed into something that looked more like a mobile space station with docking bays and communication areas extending from its frame. They're offering to negotiate. Trees, observed quietly.
After
Defeating your entire fleet, they're offering Tatak. Vexer stared at the transformed Amin vessel for a long moment. In his military career, he had conquered 17 systems and defeated 43 separate fleets. Victory had always meant the compulsive subjugation of the enemy. The concept of winning a battle and thinifaring friendship was so alien to him that it took several minutes to process. Open a channel. He finally ordered. Captain Vasquez reappeared on screen, but this time she was smiling. Commander Vex, I was hoping you'd want to talk. Your ship, Vexer began, then stopped. Where did one even begin? What you've shown us today changes everything we thought we knew about warfare, about technology, about the possible. That waste point, Vasquez replied. Humanity learned long ago that the best way to prevent wars is to make them pointless. The Valiant isn't just a warship, it's a statement. It says that we're advanced to defend ourselves, but civilized enough to prefer peace. Over the following hours, representatives from both fleets met aboard the transformed Valiant. The negotiations were unlike anything in Galactica's story. Instead of terms of surrender, they discussed trade agreements. Instead of territorial concessions, they planned cultural exchanges. Instead of tribute payments, they organized joint research initiatives. As the talks progressed, word began to spread across the galaxy through quantum communication networks. The story grew with each telling. How 1,200 ships of the Corvani Empire had been defeated a single human vessel, not through destruction, but through a demonstration of such overwhelming technological and moral superiority that resistance became meaningless. The Valiant's victory became a turning point. In galactic politics, species that had never considered humanity a significant power suddenly found themselves reassessing their positions. The idea that these seemingly primitive eepts possessed technology that could casually bend the laws of physics sent shock waves through established power structures. But perhaps more importantly, the manner of the victory howled fundamental assumptions of Booth. Nature of strength itself. The humans had proven they could destroy their enemies with trivial ease. Yet they had chosen not to. This restraint combined with overwhelming capability created a new paradigm in interstellar relations. As the Corvani fleet finale deported the Meridian system 3 days later, they carried with them more than just the memory of defeat. They carried the knowledge that somewhere in the galaxy there existed a species powerful enough to reshape reality itself, yet wise enough to choose mercy over vengeance. The EU's Valiant resumed its patrol-off system, once again appearing. A snumming more than a lone ship guarding gun isolated corner of space. Throughout the galaxy, the story of its impossible victory continued to spread, changing hearts and minds wherever it was told. And in the depths of space, other human vessels like the valiant Kanchand, their quiet vigils, waiting patiently for. The next time Somio needed to learn that humanity's great strength wasn't their technology or their weapons. It weighs higher choice to use them wisely.